Somehow, miraculously, Mr. Lasher didn't wake up to all of this, even after we'd finally managed to heave him onto the couch. Eventually, I asked my dad, "You think there's a mousetrap anywhere around here?" "It's not impossible. Why? Are you scared of getting your foot stuck in one?" My dad appeared perplexed. "Not with my foot, my tongue," I admitted, and for once my dad immediately understood what I was playing at. "Oh my, I'm sorry, Anna. You've got to be starving. Let's get home quickly and have a late dinner or an early breakfast." "And a forgotten lunch, not to speak of my equally forgotten afternoon sweets," I quickly added onto my dad's list. We closed the arbor and immediately made the moment Mr. Lasher would wake up and ask himself how on earth he fell asleep in the middle of the street and woke up on his hour's couch. Arriving back at the car, we were surprised to notice that Bubblegum had finally woken up. Unlike any other child, for example me when I'd been his age, he hadn't started screaming over being left almost completely alone in the darkness. No, I had a very special and peculiar little brother. He was utterly delighted to be so close to the steering wheel with no one to stop him. He grabbed it with both hands, announcing proudly, "Benny, drive the car." Obviously he didn't refer to himself as Bubblegum, but instead shortened his legal name Benjamin to Benny. "That's great," my dad said. "Thank you very much for driving the car until now. Though, if you wouldn't mind, I would take over the rest." We didn't encounter any further issues on the remaining drive, nor any further drunkards taking a midnight nap in the middle of the street. We were, however, wide awake and did notice the hundreds of delicately lined-up pots in the porcelain store window. A small light bulb burned on the inside, leaving the exhibition clearly visible even as we rushed by in our car. The only other thing I noticed was that the street lantern opposite the parsonage had given out. It was just a touch darker than it usually was. Upon a second look, I saw the shards. "Someone broke the street light over there," I noted. "Maybe," said my dad. "It just kept flickering all night long, not much of a loss if it finally packed up. I wouldn't immediately go around saying that someone broke it on purpose." We all scurried into the parsonage. Bubblegum, having fully awoken by now, ran up the stairs yelling "Yana, Yana" at the top of his lungs. Janine drowsily looked down at Bubblegum and picked him up. "Dare I hope that you're not expecting something to eat?" "Quite the opposite. We want to eat you," I snickered, and chewed a little on her arm. My dad had arrived last and gave her a quick pick. "I'm sorry, but I have to eat something. There were some unfortunate circumstances that were Dad's fault and Dad's alone," I added very critically. "That led to us not having a single thing to eat for the entire car ride," he continued, unbothered by my corrections. "They need at least a chocolate sandwich, some cocoa, and a piece of sausage so they can rest in peace." Chapter 10, in which we notice an unexpected visitor on our balcony. "Do you want me to prepare a snack for the guy on the outside as well?" Janine asked, suddenly a little secretive. "Which guy on the outside?" I asked. Janine, still holding Bubblegum, pointed towards the door leading to the veranda room and the adjacent balcony. There was a large dog clearly visible through the glass panes, giving us a friendly look. My dad gave her a look of utter confusion. "Micah!" I exclaimed happily, running towards the door and opening it. I hugged the big dog, who immediately started cleaning my hair with her large red tongue. Maybe it was for the best, since I frequently forgot to wash them. "How did Micah get on our balcony?" I asked my dad. Janine explained it to him. "Usually she can't, you know. There's a ditch between the Ziegler's garden and our balcony railing. But there's always been that one ramshackle paling, and Micah seemed to have realized that she could snap it over and use it as a makeshift bridge to cross that ditch. The neighbors aren't there, so they haven't had a chance to fix it yet." "And Micah just spent the entire time alone?" my dad asked, once more surprised. "Not exactly," said Janine, gently putting Bubblegum back onto the floor, "because he, too, wanted to pet a dog. There's Mr. Full to look after her from time to time. You know, the one who had that dizzy spell in the supermarket and didn't even know what he was doing afterwards." "We know about him," answered Kai in the place of my dad. "Anna's dad told us about him, that he never has a full stomach despite being called full." "Right," said Janine. "Well, anyway, our neighbors apparently asked him to look after that dog during their frequent absences. He seems to be a distant relative of some kind." "It also seems like he can't look after Micah all night long. I'm surprised even that he manages to do so during the day, with how strictly he fasts. I really need to have another conversation with him soon. Now come on, Anna, enough cuddling the dove. You too, Bubblegum. Get inside, wash your hands, and then we'll have something to eat." I let go of Micah with a heavy heart and followed the others into the kitchen. I threw another glance at the balcony, even after I had closed the door. The sweet dog was still sitting in the same spot I'd left her and seemed to wait for me to come back. I could tell that she would have preferred it to follow me inside. Suddenly, I felt so distraught I nearly wasn't hungry anymore. Though, as soon as I saw the first chocolate sandwich on the plate before me, that sadness disappeared faster than I could have said well fed. In the end, I devoured 10 sandwiches and 4 glasses of milk. Louisa managed 5 and Kai 7. Bubblegum got a piece of crisp bread that he pulverized into a million little pieces, and a warm bottle of milk. He was put to bed immediately afterward, and was asleep in a fraction of a second. With an old tape recorder with an audiobook containing the story of his favorite namesake, Benjamin the Elephant. It was always the same cassette, and he already knew it by heart, and fell asleep if he only heard the first couple tunes of the opening song, especially if it was as late at night as it was today. Louisa and I went back into the room with the bunk beds, and Kai wanted to return into his room near the balcony, when Janine suddenly said, "You can't go there, Kai. We'll move the bed and put it into the big living room." "Why?" all 3 of us wanted to know. "Well," my dad said, a little sheepishly at that, "I haven't really had the chance to say this. I guess I just forgot to tell you over everything. I think I mentioned it once, and then Louisa immediately asked the right question, when I talked about buying a jar of pickles." "Janine's pregnant," I said, horrified, having come to the obvious conclusion.